you have such an entrepreneurial mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you weren't looking for a handout, you were looking for a hand up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a new town, because you left, you were the boss.
Yeah.
But like it was a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
You went for the bigger pond, which scares the bejesus out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. So and you just took it upon yourself. You're like, everything that I need is I'm one relationship away.
That's it. I'm one handshake away.
Man.
I'm one handshake away, man.
Dude, that is like one of the most important things that has ever been said on this show. All right, you're one handshake away.
Free. That's free.
Right. 2 hits on the Hitstreak.
That one's free.
So, but how did you that's one of the hardest things for people to grasp.
Yeah.
So what point of your life did you realize? Because again, I didn't work the door. So you were one of our favorite regulars at our retro nightclub that we had forever downtown.
Decades, baby. Decades.
At some point in time, there's a handful of folks that they paid for stuff for a while and then they just kind of stopped paying for stuff and they were just there. They were part of the fam. And you fell into that group.
But you know what though? I always wanted to pay though.
You did always want to pay.
Yeah, I was I think it's always about support.
Absolutely.
We're the volunteer state.
That's right.
Not to sound corny or anything, but
that's right.
I might have got a shot here or there, but it's like sign me my tab, There was so many fun times, like I'll just show up. It was my crew. Had a handful of people I'd always show up with. One time I went to a buddy's birthday party. He got hammered before the party even started. But he rented a limo.
Yep.
And he was so hammered he couldn't go out. And he was like, well, just take the limo and go out. And I was like, I know exactly where to go. Mm-hmm. And I literally took his party. We left him at home throwing up. And I brought them all down here. Brought them all down the decades. And with the limo pulled up, and the guy, the little short guy who's doing the door.
That'd been Alex, probably. Jalapeno?
Yep, jalapeno.
Yep.
I pop out this limo. He was like, what is going on? And then 10 people come out with me. I was like, we're going up. And we had a great time, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You would thought it was my party. And I was like, call the limo driver. I was like, let's go, man. We had some great times, man. You guys definitely had to help me to the door a few times or off the floor.
Well, that was the goal.
That was the goal. That was it. And I always count on pulling up to your DJ booth. Mm-hmm. Nick, play this song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But no, you guys killed it. I never had to do it too often. You guys were always killing it.
Well, it was, like I say, those were amazing times. They were good times.
Yeah.
The only thing I wished when I look back is that I had been more aware of the people that we were surrounded with, because I didn't always choose the right people.
Sure.
To spend time with outside of that. And
right.
And that, that environment became, after a certain amount of time, it became toxic for me where it had stunted my growth,
Yeah. But how can you know?
I did. Yeah, I didn't until it took me leaving to be able to look back and realize it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you didn't know you were unhealthy until you stopped eating that stuff, and then you felt the difference.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm never going to do is stop eating anything. I don't give a damn how unhealthy it is. I'm from the South. Everything is unhealthy here. It comes with a side of gravy. Everything.
It does.
But you just never know who you're going to end up with 10 years down the line or where you're going to be. And the same people I used to come party at Decades with, I don't talk to any of them anymore.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's living their own life and doing their own thing, or, there's a falling out somewhere along the way. But it's really interesting to look back and see the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
To see the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And the people I'm hugged up and posted up with, they're all out, they're all out of the picture now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're out of the picture.
It's it's cool. I run into folks from the past from time to time that I hadn't seen in a long time, and it's great to see the growth that they've had. Some people are still in the same place, unfortunately. 10, 15, 20 years later.
Yep.
But man, a lot of the folks from back then, they were good people.
Yeah.
It was a different town back then, and a lot of people have done some great things.
It was a different town. Everyone had a different mindset, and everyone's a good person to someone.
Yeah.
That's
good. I believe that. Yeah.
Everyone's a good person to someone. And then sometimes life will just take over, and then you get to really see what a person's made of.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, and you wish everyone well. We've all done our thing. My favorite word is evolution. I think we've all evolved into different people.
Yes.
Look at you. See your whole family, multiple businesses. We've all evolved into different people. I really think there's a certain point in life where you're either going to become the best version of yourself or you'll stay the same version of yourself or worse.
I have a theory about that. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
All right. So it's amazing what raising kids, especially a young man now,
He's grown,
dude.
Ethan's grown.
It's crazy, and dude, he's such a good kid. Like, we're so lucky because like, I think he helped raise us to a certain degree. You know,
kids raise the parents, man.
Because like, you know, when he came along, we were still in that life. Like, it was crazy, and he's such a good kid, dude. Like, I don't know, you know, we're just extremely blessed that he's not problematic. You know what I mean? I don't, you know, my daughter and him are two totally different people. We'll see what's in store there.
That second born. You better make sure you have extra insurance on that one.
That's right.
She's the one who burned the house down.
You never know.
Second born, especially that second born is always.
Oh yeah. All right,
the roughest one.
Here's my theory, right? So, you know, we all look at folks. You see people, and other people see greatness. They see the talent that we don't always see in ourselves. We're usually our own harshest critic, right? And I think that it's you know, there's a whole world full of people that everybody else sees greatness in, but they don't see it in themselves, and you're never going to outperform your own self-image. Right now, there's obviously some people that believe in themselves and don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. But when other people see greatness and you see what they see, that's when magic happens. And for, you know, for me, first of all, raising kids, I want to make sure that like they can see the person that other people see, that they can see that, so that they can have a fighting chance to see that in themselves to become that person. And
so they can say like, I see how great my dad is, and see how great everyone else sees him.
Dude, you know, my parents cast a pretty large shadow. It took me a long time to feel comfortable, you know, to not just be Mickey or Janice's kid. I was Nick. You know what I mean? So like, and I remember when Ethan was really young and I was at a really low place, you know, I knew I had a lot of development to do, but I just remember looking at him when he was young, and I thought, man, it's like, you know, it's his turn. What can I do to, you know, to give him the shot that my parents gave me? And then as you raise young people, you start to realize that each generation has to get better than the one prior, right? So he needs to be bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, kinder, gentler, everything than I am. You know what I mean?
Times two.
And that's what I want. So like, you know, I saw a thing the other day where being a father is like, it's the only time you're ever gonna work on and train people to leave you, right? But they're the people that you don't want to leave. You know, I probably butchered it a little bit, but it's the same thing. You're working on getting them out, but you never.
It was a chopped and screwed version.
Absolutely,
that was a remix,
dude. Well, it's insane how, you know, I don't know. I learned to think, learn to be. I learned that you can't be grateful for something that you're entitled to. You know what I mean? And like, and at the end of the day, gratitude's pretty easy, but it is a choice. And that was what I think. That's what that industry did. We were so happy back then.
We're happy.
It was. I was grateful for a packed night every single time. I never was unhappy. Like if you weren't there, it was missed. But if you were there, it was a good time. You know?
I mean, if I wasn't there, you guys would text me like, "Where you at?"
That's exactly right.
Or I would text you guys like, "We're on the way."
That's right.
I'm bringing 8. You know, I'm bringing a crew tonight. Like if we weren't there, but you're right though. I feel like my friend, I don't know, she has a company, but we're always talking about generational wealth, and I think generational wealth is more than just money. It's about what you pour into. It's habits. Your kids in the next generation.
It's habits, it's patterns. You know, because wealth is the positive part, but the negative part's called generational sin. Right? So like, you know, let's say a dad and a mom, you know, didn't live up to their potential. Well, if their kids do the same thing, that would be the sin portion. They passed on a bad pattern. Right. So you gotta be a bloodline breaker to a certain degree. So there's certain things that my son has to do differently than I did it because there's a better way.
Right. And we can't view ourselves as the sin or as the bad part of something that we're trying. We have to see ourselves as just like as an example. For an example of change.
Facts.
You know, and show that change can be done.
Facts. And we're not defined by anything that happened in the past.
No.
Hell, I'm not defined what happened in today, right? I get to write that book every day.
Exactly.
And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, seriously. So look at what you're doing.
I'm sitting, Nick. I'm just sitting right now.
You go out to LA.
Sucking it in.
got a 8 month, you're on the job for 8 months. And then you're literally starting over all over again. But you didn't quit.
Nope.
I firmly believe that a lot of times God has to remove something from your life to make room for the next thing.
Agreed.
And then like at the same time, I heard a pastor say from the pulpit one time, God can't steer a parked car. It's got to be moving.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, but the coolest thing is you were like, dude, like you had something to prove to somebody.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs that.
Yeah. That's it. I was like, I cannot go back and let him like, oh, because I can see his face.
Yep.
Oh, welcome back. I'm like, fuck you. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, but think about that. Everybody's like, there was that movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro, where the sailor movie. What's it called? Men of Honor.
Okay. Yeah,
and I remember the dad of Cuba Gooding Jr. when he went to the army. He said, "Don't come back." And that was and then a son never forgets carved on his radio, on the wood panel of his radio. Everybody needs that person that drives them.
Yeah.
Because again, for some people, it's their coach.
Yep.
It's their parent. It's a mentor or whatever else. You can like that person would be probably honored to know that they were a source of your success. How cool is that?
He definitely was not honored to know, because I reminded him every year.
That's right.
I'm still here. Like, hey, remember that time you told me I was going to make it? Guess what? I'm still here. If some place cut me off from like talking to him.
Yep.
But I was like, I'm still here, dude. Like, I beat you.
That's right.
So kiss my ass.
That's right. Well, dude, hey, man, I like to keep score, and I love trophies. I love trophies. I like to win.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you might not have been able to do it, but here I am doing it.
That's
right.
Right.
And it's not even about bragging. It's just like, first you told me I couldn't do it, so now I'm doing it. Now I'm doing it for myself. I've already shown you, and I've already outlasted you. Now it's just about doing it for me now.
That's right.
And realizing I'm doing things I never thought I could do. Because coming from Nashville was very different, because like as a kid growing up, I was an actor back when I was young and skinny, had a hairline. I was an actor. I did like theater. I did theater in high school. I did community theater, commercials and music videos, and it's Nashville. So I would get a call like, hey, we need a black guy. I was like, oh, well, I'm black. I'll be there. That's literally how I got casted for stuff sometimes. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm there, and then I realized, I was like, I want to be a director. I was like, I want to direct. I knew that was always going to be the thing I was going to do.
Yep.
From a young age, I knew that was going to be the thing I was going to do. I just didn't know how to get there.
Right.
Like at the time we had Watkins College, and that was a little bit out of my price range there, So I was like trying to figure it out on my own. I was like, I was like, where do I go from? If I can't go to Watkins, where can I go? If you can't have fun at Bella Noche's, where the hell could you go? Somebody out there understands what I'm saying. But I eventually just figured it out. And so my school, I was going to National State.
Yep.
And I was taking a video editing class. We weren't shooting anything. We had footage. They gave us footage, and we were editing. I was already editing at this point.
Yep.
And so I think I talked to my teacher. I was like, they're doing a 48-hour film project. I was like, do you think like the school will sponsor us to do a project? He was like, I'll talk to them. And he rallied them up. I got like my classmates rallied up. And so we're in this video editing class where we're just sitting at a computer clicking all day. Excuse me. And eventually I was like, guys, let's shoot a short film on this weekend this summer. And everyone was like, let's do it.
Wow.
Let's do it. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh shit, they said yes. I was like, they actually said yes. And then we did it. We shot our first short film. That was in 2010, I think, or 2011. And then we did one another, like the next year. And it became a thing we did every year. And I was like raising money. We took them out of town a few times. Like we were doing competitions in different cities. I don't even know how I got on this story, Nick. Reel me back in, because
you're killing. I
just started rambling. I don't even know how we got here. But I think it was just like at some point just realizing you can do things. Because I didn't know it was Nashville. We only had Watkins.
Yep.
And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep going until I figure it out. And this is what it was. I just went, I faked it till I made it.
Well, dude, but understanding the not knowing the journey to necessarily get there, you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But like understanding that is like that knowledge that you're accumulating along the way is like you can replicate that and you can use that the next time.
Exactly. Because we didn't have a film program at National State. But I took everything I could to apply it to what I was doing. We had a storyboarding class. We had video editing. We had like a writing class. We had an HTML. Like we had different communication. We had a communications program.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a film school. So I took everything I learned from those classes. I was like, how can I apply this to my career? You know what I'm saying? Like the storyboarding came in handy when I'm storyboarding my films.
That's right.
You know, if I'm storyboarding for someone else, like everything comes in handy at some point. You just have to know how to apply it. You really have to know how to apply the things you've learned. I was working at my church for like 6 years doing the video. Had no idea what I was doing. I was just buying equipment. I was like, oh, this might work. I was like buying a video switcher, and I was like, oh, I need this kind of cable. I didn't know what was going on.
It was hard back then because we were not, the tech that we have now is insane versus back then it was a little tech and still a lot of manual stuff.
Yep. So this was back in 2006. You know, I'm just buying stuff off eBay. Do you know what I was buying? I'm just buying. I'm like, here's my credit card. I'm just like buying stuff. And I would just figure it out. I would be at the church, like running wires and connecting cameras. I was like, okay, and messing with these switchboards, and then I got it figured out. Then I was like, okay. So I started doing live broadcasts for them. I started doing, putting them on TV, like on the local network down there. It just took a long time to figure it out, but I figured it out. You know what I'm saying? I just kept going for it because one thing about me, I'm not going to walk away from it.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? I'll waddle, but I'm not walking away from it.
No, you are 100% a finisher, not a quitter.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people can't tell the difference.
Yeah. You're right about it.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're right about it.
I wouldn't, when my baseball career ended, I was finished. You know what I mean? Like I chose to be done for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I did not quit. And that's so important because, again, like I think that the beginning of one thing is hidden in the end of something else. And if you quit, you don't get that gift. Right. You have to finish it, man.
But when you're... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, but finishing things is a skill because like, you know, even when we build companies, Joe, we start out by like, what's the end look like? Am I selling it? Am I dying doing it? Yeah. Are we just going to let it go out of business at some point in time? Like
what's happening?
So when anytime we build a new project, it's like, we start at the end and work backwards, just like the GPS.
Same.
That's how you do it.
Same. I'm like, what's the end product? What's the end goal here? But my question for you, turn this around on you. When your career ended, like with baseball, did you know what was going to happen next? Did you have an idea?
No, and I struggled with that for the better part of a decade, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, where I was at was, I'd go to a concert and I'd see somebody on stage and I'd say, oh man, I could do that. There was a whole bunch of I could and should be doing that, and it's almost like I was waiting on somebody to look at me and be like, here you go, Nick. Here's your shot. Yeah. It took me a decade to figure out who I was. It took me going into like health insurance of all things, where I learned some of the most. I learned more doing that, and I leverage and apply more than I did, or all the knowledge I learned doing that more than anything else today. And I found it in health insurance of all things, and we did that we're still doing it today. We still have our original agency, and it's crazy to think that we were launching hundreds of agencies a year, wild, doing tens of millions of dollars. Like it was insane, and we made a lot of money doing it too, which was awesome. Yeah,
but there's also a passion behind it too. Like you found a new passion in that.
Yeah, I found the passion was in the marketing.
Sure.
And then when you found out, like I realized that I didn't know anything. I thought, man, what I learned about health insurance, I wish they should have taught us this in college.
Right.
And so I became passionate about making sure that people didn't know, because what a lot of people don't know this, I've mentioned it a few times. In 2009, my appendix ruptured. And so I go in, they remove it, but then I went home for like a couple days, and then I went back, and I was in there for like 2 weeks. Well, we were like in between health insurance policies, right, when that happened. So, but technically, I was uninsured. Wow. And if my granddad hadn't have stepped up when we got out and literally settled that debt for me, it was a 6-figure debt that it would have killed us. And my grandfather came in and settled it for like 18, 20 grand or whatever, because there was some mistakes made by the doctor and, and so on and so forth.
Surprise. Mistakes from doctors.
But like, gosh, it was, I learned like, I didn't want that to happen to other people. Right. You know, because not everybody's going to have a granddad like I had.
Of course.
And and then marketing that, because in the nightclub industry, the best promoter won back then. Yeah. You had to be really good at it.
That's right.
And, and that's what I love marketing. I love marketing and advertising. It's fun. It's fun. You get to bring stuff to life. Yeah. You're a creator.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I've been working with a friend of mine. She started a PR agency. It's like based in Florida, and I've been working with her. It's so much fun when she brings a new project. I'm like, let's go.
That's right.
Because you're almost like you're helping someone who doesn't have a vision. You know what I mean? There's that passion. But going back to the passion, though, it's like, even though it's weird to say there's a passion in insurance, but like you found a passion in marketing, which led you to this, because originally you was doing photos.
Yep.
You know, then you start doing video. Now you have a whole damn studio.
Video changed the game.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, that word evolution, man, there was evolution there. Like, you started with the insurance, but like you evolved, you continue to evolve. You can evolve more than once.
Yes.
You can evolve more than once.